Chip's Tips on China. China. China is one of the largest countries in the world by land area. With a population of 1.35 billion people, it is the most populous country in the world. Its official name is the People's Republic of China, and its capital is Beijing. People have been living in China for thousands of years, so it has a long and famous culture and history. Today, China is the most powerful nation in Asia and one of the most powerful countries in the world. It has been a member of the United Nations for many years. China is well known for many things like Chinese food, giant panda bears, the Great Wall of China, cities like Beijing and Shanghai, and the many products that are made in China and sold around the world. Location. China is located in East Asia, on the continent of Asia in the northern hemisphere. It lies on the western edge of the East China Sea and the South China Sea. These are both part of the larger Pacific Ocean. China's eastern coastline is a little over 9,000 miles long, the 11th longest coastline in the world. China shares with Russia the prize for having the largest number of bordering neighbors in the world, 14. The 14 countries that border China include Afghanistan, Bhutan, Burma, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Mongolia, Nepal, North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, and Vietnam. The combined length of these land borders between China and its 14 neighbors is nearly 14,000 miles. Geography. Because it is such an incredibly big country, China has many different geographical areas. In the eastern and southern areas, the land is good for agriculture, and most of the people of China live and work here. There are many islands along this coastline. In the west, there is the Taklamakan Desert, and in the north, there is the famous Gobi Desert. Other areas of China consist of mountains, plateaus, and plains. The central plain of China is a large area that includes the Yellow River. The other famous river in China is the Yangtze. It is the third longest river in the world after the Amazon and the Nile. The highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, lies on the border between China and Nepal. China stretches for over 3,000 miles from east to west and for 3,400 miles from north to south. About 1/3 of the land area of China is made up of mountains. The bamboo forests where the giant pandas live are located near the Yangtze River. China has thousands of lakes and rivers. The Yangtze River, the third longest river in the world, is over 3,600 miles long, while the Yellow River is 2,900 miles long. More than 1,200 nature reserves have been created to protect the plants and animals of China. Climate. A large country like China will, of course, have many different kinds of climates. The southernmost area of the country has a tropical climate with hot temperatures and plenty of rain. An area like the Gobi Desert sees very little rain, and because of its high altitude, it's considered a cold desert. Large areas of China have a temperate climate. Precipitation varies from area to area, but in general, there is a dry season and a rainy season called the monsoon. In the winter, cold, dry air blows down from the high altitudes in the north, but in the summertime, there are wet and warm winds that blow from the southern coastal areas. Dust storms are a problem in northern China and are caused by drought. Some of the extreme weather conditions that sometimes hit China are droughts, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, and typhoons. History. There have been people living in the area of China for thousands and thousands of years. For much of China's long history, dynasties ruled. A dynasty is a line of rulers of a country, and usually the dynasty is passed down from one generation to the next within the same family. For a while, there were many different dynasties ruling in various parts of China. But about 2,000 years ago, one of these kingdoms conquered the other kingdoms and established the Empire of China. Many dynasties followed, and they gave to China many things like languages, religions, government, paper money, and art. The dynasties ended 100 years ago, and today China has a communist form of government. Major cities. Beijing is the capital of China, and with a population of over 20 million people, it is a very crowded city. It is famous for its enormous Forbidden City, the palace of the emperors for many years, and for Tiananmen Square, the largest public square in the world. But surprisingly, Beijing is not the biggest city in China. Shanghai is. Its population is nearly 24 million people, and it is an important center of banking and trade. It is also the busiest trading port in the world, with many ships leaving every day full of goods produced in China. Other big cities in China include Guangzhou, near Hong Kong, Guilin, famous for its mountain and river scenery, and Hangzhou, known for its silk industry. About 50% of the people of China live in cities and towns. Culture. Chinese culture is one of the oldest cultures in the world. Culture varies from area to area because there are more than 50 different ethnic groups in China. The Han group is the largest ethnic group in China. Major religions in China include Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. There is not just one Chinese language, but instead there are many. However, the Chinese language called Mandarin is the language that is most often spoken in China. Other important parts of Chinese culture include literature, music, dance, art, and martial arts like Kung Fu. Chinese food is known all over the world and has a large variety of dishes. Today, many Chinese people wear Western-style clothes. In addition to Mandarin, some other Chinese languages include Cantonese, Yan, Hakka, Minbai, Minnan, Wu, Wang, and Yu. After the USSR and the U.S., China became the third country in the world to send a human into outer space. The 2008 Summer Olympic Games were held in Beijing, China. Famous people. There are many famous people who were born in China. Jie Xinwang was the first emperor of China. He had thousands of soldiers, horses, and chariots made out of clay for his tomb. Mao Zedong was a leader of China and the founder of the People's Republic of China. He was known as Chairman Mao because his title was Chairman of the Communist Party of China. I.M. Pei is one of the most famous architects in the world. He was born in Guangzhou, near Hong Kong, and has designed buildings that are found in cities all over the world. Yao Ming is a professional basketball player who was born in Shanghai. Festivals. Many of the festivals that take place in China are also national holidays. The Qingming Festival occurs in the spring, and this is the time when farmers plow and sow seeds and plants in their fields. For this festival, some people plant trees and some people fly kites. Chinese people have been celebrating the Dragon Boat Festival for 2,000 years. A gun is fired and the dragon-shaped boats begin the race, all accompanied by the beating of drums. At this festival, Chinese people like to eat zongzi, which are rice dumplings. For the Mid-Autumn Festival, people eat mooncakes and watch the full moon lighting up the sky. A mooncake is a pastry filled with either sweet red beans or lotus seed paste. Holidays. There are 7 official public holidays in China. The Chinese government usually schedules the holidays the day before or after a weekend so that there is a longer vacation period for workers. Western New Year's Day falls on January 1st, just like everywhere else in the world. Traditional Chinese New Year usually falls towards the end of January or early February. Qingming Festival celebrates springtime on April 4th or 5th. Labor Day or May Day takes place on May 1st. The Dragon Boat Festival is celebrated in late spring or early summer. The Mid-Autumn Festival celebrates harvest time in the autumn. The founding of the People's Republic of China is remembered on October 1st, National Day. Major occupations. Because it is such an enormous country with over 1 billion people, there is a huge variety of jobs in China. As in most major cities around the world, there are many jobs in the big cities in China, like jobs in the government, in banking, schools, hospitals, and in tourism. In the large cities and in small cities, there are many factories where local Chinese people produce goods to export to other countries. China's major trade partners are the European Union and the United States. Many tourists visit China, so there is a great need for Chinese people who can speak foreign languages. Agriculture is very important in China. Over 300 million farmers produce barley, cotton, rice, and tea. China does more trade than any other country in the world except for the United States. Animals. China has an incredible variety of plants and animals. Only Brazil and Colombia have more species than China. There are over 500 different kinds of mammals, over 1,200 kinds of birds, over 400 kinds of reptiles, and over 300 kinds of amphibians. There are more than 100 different kinds of animals that can only be found in China. Many of these animals are rare and endangered, so some of them are protected by law. Some of the animals that are only found in China include the Chinese alligator, the black-necked crane, the white-flag dolphin, the red ibis, the golden-haired monkey, the giant panda, the brown-eared pheasant, the South China tiger, the white tiger, and the Chinese pond turtle. There are only 1,600 pandas still living in China's bamboo forests. Plants. Because of the huge size of the country and number of different climates and landscapes, there is a large diversity of plants that grows in China, over 30,000 different kinds. There are many plants that grow only in China, like the metasequoia tree, one of the oldest and rarest trees in the world. One of the most famous plants that grows in China is bamboo. Bamboo grows in many places in the world, but it is in the bamboo forests in China where the famous giant pandas live. The lotus flower is a special flower in the Buddhist religion, and the peony is the national flower of China. Plum trees are dormant during the cold winter and then blossom early in the spring, so they are a symbol of rebirth. Visiting. China is such a big country, and there are so many places to visit. Where would you begin? Probably Beijing, because that is where most flights land. In this important capital city, there are historic places to visit, like the Forbidden City and Tiananmen Square. Many people visit the Great Wall of China when they visit Beijing. Shanghai has a very famous riverside with old buildings. If you want to see the forests where the giant pandas live, you will want to visit the Jiaizhigu Nature Reserve. There are lakes and waterfalls here as well. Feel like climbing a mountain? If Mount Everest is too difficult, then you can climb the most popular mountain in China, Taishan, or Peace Mountain. At 5,500 miles long, the Great Wall of China is the longest man-made structure in the world.